Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Brody Rose Gaming and it is that time of the year. The time of the year when the pumpkins start chirping and the scarecrows start growing. Yes, I am talking about Halloween. Halloween is one of my favorite times of the year because I feel free to express myself. And since we're so close to Halloween, I wanted to tell you guys some of my favorite scary stories involving the gods and goddesses of our fair game Smite. This, my friends, is spooky Smite lore. So pull up a chair, grab a bowl of popcorn, and prepare to be spooked. Our first story brings us to the Japanese creation gods, Izanami and Izanagi. Izanami and Izanagi were your typical pair. Husband and wife, brother and sister, your typical couple from Alabama or Japan. They had a great time coming together to create the islands of Japan and all of the deities. The pair bore many children together. Unfortunately, on one fateful day, while Izanami was giving birth to the fire deity Kagutsuchi, she was horribly burned by the fire god. Izanagi held his love closely, hoping not to lose her, but it was too late. Izanami was gone, left this world due to the wounds left on her scorched flesh by the child she'd given birth to. Enraged by the loss of his love, Izanagi punished and beheaded his child for what was done to Izanami. Lost in a world without his love, Izanagi chose to go down to Yomi, the land of the dead, in search of his deceased wife. The world of Yomi was a dark, desolate place filled with abundant shadows. Izanagi's mission was to navigate the dark unknown to find his lost love. After wading through the darkness, Izanagi was reunited with his love, but not quite. Izanami told her husband not to look at her, and Izanagi obeyed. Izanagi was delighted to be in the presence of Izanami again, and he asked her to come back to the land of the living with him. But she couldn't. Izanami had already succumbed to the land of the dead. She had eaten the food cooked in the furnace of Yomi. Izanami now belonged to the underworld. She explained to her husband that she could not return with him, and this displeased Izanagi, who then lost his patience and broke his promise. He looked at his wife, but she no longer looked like the beautiful woman that he had come to know. The Izanami standing before him was a disgusting, decaying corpse, skin as pale as bone, maggots coming out of every crevice of her body. This was not the Izanami that he knew. Izanagi was shocked. So shocked that he tried to flee Yomi after seeing the rotting flesh that was once his wife. Oh, but this enraged Izanami. She was filled with so much shame after her husband broke his promise and fled, running away from her. She then gave birth to the lightning deity, Raijin. Hey, we know him. She sent Raijin and other female demons of Yomi out to go capture her husband and bring him back. Izanagi ran as fast as he could and eventually reached the escape. He quickly blocked the exit to Yomi with a large boulder to stop his bride from bringing him down. Enraged, Izanami exclaimed to her husband, who was now in the land of the living on the other side of the boulder that divided him, that as punishment for this treatment, this foul treatment that she received, she will make it her mission to kill 1,000 people every day. Izanagi then promised to combat that by making sure 1,500 people were born each day. But who knows how many people were lost due to the wrath of Izanami, matron of the dead. Our next story brings us over to the Mayan pantheon. Saizen, or as we call him, Aposh, is a fierce deity. He's the ruler of the 9 circles of the Mayan underworld, Xibalba. Aposh is the god of earthquakes and death. We really gotta figure out why he hates California so much. His skeletal body is adorned with the accessories of people that he punished. He wears a necklace made out of severed eyeballs. Sounds a bit harsh, but Aposh is very much a malevolent god. He takes pleasure in setting people on fire and watching them burn. He would let them burn while listening to their cries of pain, and he would enjoy it. And when they were finished burning, he would set them ablaze again, and he would do this over and over again, creating more and more pain until there was nothing left. Not even their soul. Remember, never get in the pathway of the horrific god of decay, and think twice before you gank middle lane. This next story brings us to the Salavic Pantheon. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. But at the top of the hill, instead of water, they found a deep, dark wood. They wandered aimlessly in the dark until they came upon a hut, surrounded by a picket fence. An old, run-down wooden hut. There were no windows, and they couldn't see light coming from it, but they were lost. And this was their only hope of finding their way out of the woods. They needed to see if someone was home. They needed someone to help them. As they drew closer to the hut, they noticed that the picket fence was no ordinary picket fence. It was a fence made from human bones, adorned with skulls. The two children wondered if this was there as a warning sign, as a do not enter, do not go any further, for there may be danger. Do they dare go further? The pair didn't see many options. They were lost. They were desperate. They ignored the warning signs and continued going toward the hut. When they arrived at the door, they raised their hand to knock. But then, they heard something. Screams. No. Cries. Cries of anguish and terror. It was the unmistakable sound of children in anguish. The pair gave each other a look before they realized it was time to run. They ran and ran as fast as they could. Suddenly, they started hearing loud, thumping footsteps behind them. Something was chasing them. Something large. They kept running. They didn't want to find out what it was. And they couldn't waste a moment to look back. Eventually, their curiosity piqued and they turned around only to see that the scary hut had grown legs. Not just any normal legs, chicken legs. And they were being chased down by the hut. They ran even faster, never knowing when they would escape the fearsome chicken hut. They reached the edge of the forest. They finally found their way out. They breathed a sigh of release. But suddenly, they heard a door open directly behind them. The hut had opened. The children let out one last scream as they were devoured, not by the hut, but by the old woman inside the hut, the devil's grandmother, Baba Yaga. Finally, I want to talk about the most horrific entity of them all. The dreamer from the Pacific Ocean city of Relay, Cthulhu. A being so fearsome that I'm not even sure I should be talking about him right now. This deity from outer space found his home on Earth, where he wreaked havoc for centuries upon all of the inhabitants. The power of Cthulhu was so unfathomable to us mere mortals. He was a force to be reckoned with. However, one day, a being even more powerful came to Earth to defeat Cthulhu and trap him under the Pacific Ocean in his now sunken city. Cthulhu was furious to be trapped. He knew that there was no escaping, so he entered a dream-like state, a state which allowed him to project his madness onto the world of the humans. He dreamed of his release, and he dreamed of the end of the world. Cthulhu's influence was great. He was able to send his madness into the world of unsuspecting humans, while he himself would stay in this death-like slumber at the bottom of the ocean. Individuals who would come under Cthulhu's influence would experience a wide range of negative emotions and have maddening visions. He could show them images of cities decaying or cities being overtaken by green slime. He could show images of the end of the world. He could even make people feel utter dread. That's why some say that fear, anxiety, and dread came from Cthulhu himself, which makes his grasp on humanity even more incredible. His victims were driven mad, unable to stop hearing otherworldly voices, unable to stop seeing apocalyptic visions, unable to escape the feelings of dread and doom. Some were even made to draw horrific things while they slept, only to wake to the horror of what they've created. This drove some to madness, and some even to suicide. Sanity is not a word known to any victims in Cthulhu's grasp. Cthulhu can do so much from his slumber miles and miles below the sea level. We pray that he never awakens, and we pray that we never encounter the being who was powerful enough to put him there in the first place. Are you shaking yet? Thank you guys so much for listening to me tell some spooky Smite lore, and if you liked what you heard, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and press the bell to be notified when I upload more content. And if you want to see me play some Smite live, I stream on Twitch every Monday, Wednesday, Friday evening. I'll see you there. Once again, this is Brody Rose Gaming, and I'll catch you in the next video.